Hello everyone. Today's topic is types of stresses. You will come to know that in the design, stresses are playing most important role. We are coming across stresses every now and then during the entire design work which we are going to carry out. So what are the stresses? That is something which we are supposed to know at the start. So today we are going to talk about different types of stresses, and maybe you can jot down as the things progress. What is a stress? Sometimes back, maybe during your say strength of materials time, you must have already come across the term stress. Now, what is the unit of stress? Stress is basically load upon area. So the unit of load, that is the force, divided by area, which is double the square of the dimension. So Newton per mm square, that is the unit of stress. Okay, it can be measured in Newton per mm square or centimeter square per meter square, etc. But for our convenience, we are, if you refer the books, we are going to use Newton per mm square as the unit. So let me write the first thing. Stress, the basic formula for stress is load upon area, and it is measured in Newton per mm square. So having seen this first step, the next thing is, let us see what are the different types of stresses. So starting with the tensile stress. Now this could be probably a revision for all of you, because this you already learned during the strength of materials, but it is anyway required to be revised. So we are talking about all these stresses. Now tensile stress we are going to represent by letter Ft. That is the convention. Ft, T stands for tensile stress, and now this tensile stress is given by, of course, load upon area. And in what situation tensile stress is developed? For that you can show this example. So suppose there is a rod like this of a circular cross section. It can be any cross section, but let's take as a circular cross section, let's say of diameter d, and then you are applying a load P newtons. So the load applied is P newtons, and the diameter of the rod is d. Say for example this pen, we consider this pen as a rod. Now this rod you are applying a force P like this outwards, so that the rod is under tension. Now in this situation, it is experiencing a tensile stress, and that is given by, according to this load upon area, it will be equal to load which is P, and the area for diameter d is pi d square by 4. So P upon pi d square by 4, that is the formula for the tensile stress that is induced in this particular rod. Now what do we do with this tensile stress? That will come to know as we go further ahead. But today our objective is to learn the different types of stress, in fact to revise the different types of stresses. So the tensile stress, as you may be already aware of, is this. The next is compressive stress. Next is compressive stress. So again, compressive stress, the example could be, I'll again take the same example of a rod. Maybe same rod, same type of force applied, P, cross section also is same, but then the load that is applied this time, although it is same as P, but it is applied like this. That means it is towards the load is acting towards each other. So it is like I am taking this pencil or maybe the pen and applying a load like this in the axial direction. I am applying a load like this. So I am pressing it like this. So the load applied is along the axis towards each other. The diameter still is d, and as a result you can see that F, now this is shown by letter Fc. I'll write here Fc. So Fc is again same load upon area, and this is given by pi, rather P upon pi d square by 4. That is the formula for compressive stress. In fact, the formula will look same, P upon pi d square by 4, but then it is compressive stress and it is a tensile stress. Okay. Now, what can you say in these two cases? In these two cases, the load and the area, if you see, then you will realize that the load is perpendicular to the area. Now I have shown this area by revolving it like this, but the area is like this, and to this area the load is applied, say in this case maybe compressive, but then the load and the area, it is perpendicular. Area is here and load is here, and load and area is perpendicular. Even here also load and area, it is perpendicular. Why we are saying this is because we will take the next stress, that is a shear stress. So here the things will be different. Shear stress, this is shown by F shear, and again what is going to be shear stress. So I will draw a figure for shear stress, maybe something like this. Maybe again the same rod, and this time I am applying a force like this. Like this. Okay, maybe there is some support. I have to show some support here. Say like this, there is a support. Okay, and then you are applying a force like this. Now in this case what will happen is, it will get sheared off from here. Suppose you want to show this, the condition, what will happen at the extreme end of the load here. That means you are applying a load till it breaks. So in that case the breakage will take place, where this rod will be broken into two parts like this. In this case also, because of the compressive load, it will be broken into two parts just like this. But here, if it is broken, then it will be broken like this. Okay, like this is already under support, and this will just get removed like this because of the force. So what you now see is that again the resisting area, in this case this was the area which was resisting the force, which is pi d square by 4. Here also we are calling it as a cylindrical rod. So again the area is same. So the formula here will be again load upon area, which will be load is P. I am showing this as P, and then the area is D. So again pi d square by 4, which is a formula for shear stress. You might see it same, but then the area is here, and you will see here, if you draw a similar figure, then the area is like this and the force also is like this. Here force or the load and area, they were perpendicular to each other. Here load is acting along the area in case of a shear stress. Now you must have seen rivets. I'll just draw a sketch of a rivet. So let's say this is a rivet. So I am applying a load P, and there are two plates. Now all of you know what is a rivet, riveted joint. So you are applying a load, the two plates are connected to each other by this rivet, and when you apply load, what will happen is, if you do it till the breakage takes place, then you will find that the rivet will get broken from here, and after it is broken, it will look like this. This is one rivet. I mean, it is the same rivet which is broken like this. So it is broken into two parts from here, and the kind of breakage or the kind of failure is called as a shear failure. This is tensile failure, compressive failure, shear failure. The area which was resisting this is this area, which is what we have taken, and therefore the stress is load upon area. This is a formula for stress. The type of stress is shear stress because load is along the area. Okay, so that was an example of shear stress. So we have today seen three stresses. There are some more stresses which also we'll see. Okay, now the next is bending stress. Now bending stress as such is not a totally new stress compared to what we have earlier seen, tensile and compressive. What is bending stress? Now let me first draw some sketch. Suppose this is some kind of a, let's say, beam whose cross section is like this, and then it is, let's say, supported here. At two places you have supported it, and then you have applied some load here. Now what will happen because of this load? Because of this load, the tendency will be to bend like this. The tendency of the beam is to bend like this, and as a result what will happen? There will be stresses which are developed into this beam across the cross section. Now stresses developed means what? We have already seen stresses earlier, tensile stress and compressive stress. Now which of the stresses are developed in this? Can you find out of the stresses which we have seen, tensile and compressive, what kind of stress will develop here when it is bent like this? Whether there will be tensile stress in that or there will be compressive stress will be there in that. So what you now can see is that the fibers, you can imagine this beam is made up of all material. So the material which is above the center point, so I am just showing the center point. Say this is the center line which has bent like this. So the part of the beam which is above the center line, that will, now suppose there is a beam and I am bending it like this, then whatever is the middle line, from that center line, whatever is above this upper part, all the material in the above part, that is going to be compressed, and everything which is below the lower half, that will be under tension. So whatever two examples we have seen earlier, tensile stress and compressive stress, both the stresses will exist here, but then the upper part, this upper part will be under compression and the lower part will be under tension, and the line which is the middle line, which I have to show, if in the cross section, then I will show this plane, the plane which is here, this plane is getting unaffected. That means at this plane in the center, the material is neither getting compressed nor getting tensile stress. So this is called the neutral axis. N, I'll write here, NA. This is the neutral axis. It is called because it is neither under tension or neither under compression. Upper parts, that is all in compression, and the lower thing is in tension. And we know why it is like this. It is very easy to understand what is happening here. Now under this condition, now what has happened? The beam has got some curvature. Then there could be some, I can just show that this is the radius of curvature. That this curvature has got some center here, and this R is the radius of curvature. Now there is a formula which is telling us the relationship between this curvature and some other properties of this particular beam, which I just write down here. M upon I is equal to F upon Y equal to E upon R. Now this is the equation which is applicable for this case, where all these letters, they have got certain meaning. What is the meaning here? M is moment. Moment which is applied from outside. So what we have done? We have applied some moment from outside. Means what? We have applied a load, but this load has caused some kind of a moment. And how much moment it has caused? The moment it has caused is, suppose the length of the beam is L, then half of that is L by 2, and the load is acting here P by 2. So P by 2 load is acting at a distance of L by 2. So suppose I hold it like this is the middle point, and here the load acting is P by 2 and it is at a distance of L by 2. So P by 2 into L by 2. So I can say here in this case it is P by 2 into L by 2, which is PL by 4. P into L by 4, that is the amount of moment that is applied in this particular case. Okay, so that is moment. I is a term which is called as moment of inertia. Moment of inertia of this section, for this section. The section is like this, and it has got its own moment of inertia, which is what is the moment of inertia for this section? Suppose this section has got, maybe I'll draw it slightly larger. This is the section. It has got thickness T and breadth is B. So this is B and it has got a thickness T. So in this situation, what is going to be its moment of inertia? So that formula is T B raised to, how many it is? 4 upon 10. T B raised to 4 upon 10. T B cube rather. T B cube upon 12. That is the formula for moment of inertia. Okay. So the dimension which is perpendicular, where is the neutral axis? Neutral axis is here. So the dimension along the neutral axis is taken once, and the dimension perpendicular to the neutral axis, that is B, is getting cube. So TB cube by 12, that is the moment of inertia if it is a rectangle. If it is a circle, then it is something else. Okay, so maybe you can write down that also. It could be pi d raised to 4 by 64 if it is a, if the cross section is, instead of a rectangle, if it is a circle, then pi d raised to 4 by 64, that is the moment of inertia for this section. So that is M, that is I. What is F? Just now we are defined what is F. So F is stress. Now this stress can be Ft or Fc depending on which portion you are talking about, the upper part or lower part. Upper part is in compression, so it will be Fc. Lower part is in tension, then it will be Ft. Then Y. What is Y? Y is the distance of a point maximum away from neutral axis. The point which is maximum away from neutral axis. Now in this case, this point and this point, it is maximum away from neutral axis. In this case, it is going to be B by 2. Because B is the width, so B by 2 is the point which is maximum away from the neutral axis, that is Y. And then E upon R. What is E? E is Young's modulus. And R is radius of curvature after it is deformed. So I have shown you here, this is the radius of curvature which has got center somewhere here, and this is the distance of R, the radius of curvature R. So M upon I equal to F upon Y equal to E upon R. This is the, basically it is also called a design equation. We are coming across such equations many times. So this is a design equation, and in this design equation the tensile stress or the compressive stress, it is written here, and that is called as a bending stress. So what is the bending stress? Bending stress is FTB. We show it like this, FTB, or it is FCB. T stands for tensile, B stands for bending, C stands for compressive, B stands for bending. So bending stress is either like this or like this, which is here. Either it is T or C. It is not T by C, it is T or C. So this is the tensile stress or bending stress of a compressive stress of a bending type. So now if I write your formula for bending stress, then I can write FTB equal to M upon I by Y. This Y is brought here, I by Y. So M upon I by Y is equal to stress is the formula for bending stress. So I am just, for the time being, I am not using this part. So only this much equality is taken into account. M upon I equal to F upon Y. So therefore F is equal to M upon I by Y. So this is the formula for bending stress. It could be T or C, compressive bending stress or tensile bending stress. This is the formula. Okay, and the unit will obviously come Newton upon m square. Okay, what is this I upon y called as? If you remember, I upon y is shown as z, and this is called as section modulus. Z is called as section modulus. Now we'll come to know about this. We'll use this quite often in future. So that time I'll give some more stress on that. Right now, just note down. Maybe you can go back and revise all these terms which you have come across during your strength of material. That's why I last time said that strength of material is some such topic subject which is of extensive use for us. Therefore, it is required to be revised. So I am just bringing some of the concepts from there and writing them down here under the topic types of stresses. So we are talking about bending stresses. This is called as bending stress. This is the formula which is containing bending stress, and then this becomes the formula purely for bending stress. Two types, tensile and compressive, and they are all the different terms that are used over here. Okay. Now let's go to the next. This was number 4, bending stress. Now we'll take one more stress. So now the next stress, number 5, that is torsional stress. Torsional stress it is. So what is a torsional stress? Let me draw some figure. So I have drawn some rod which is fixed at one end, the other end is free, and we are applying a torque here like this at the free end. Now this has got diameter, say I should have mentioned the diameter or maybe radius. The radius is R, length of the rod is L, radius is R, you have applied a torque T, and now under this situation what happens? See, like this is a rod, this rod is fixed here, okay, and then on this end I am applying a torque. So when I apply a torque like this, what happens? It is getting twisted. That means suppose I draw one line, at the top point, at the top